defenders have been deluded. Like,
are you not tired of these Arsenal transfer rumours not correlating to us actually seeing players signed for our football club? I definitely know I am. Nonetheless, the show must continue. People, deluded, I'm back again. As frustrated as I am that Arsenal haven't signed anyone, we've got to bear in mind at the time of making this video, it's the 20th of June. I'm not saying Arsenal are going to sign world-class and world beaters and address every area, even though I am hopeful that a winger, a central midfielder, or a striker, or at least two of the three, you know, are installed. And I also have faith in Mikel Arteta, knowing that we can't rest on our laurels. We have to improve. We have to, in a positive way, take what we're good at as a football club, but also become unpredictable. And when you look at the way we've played the last two seasons, better yet, there has been some similarities, but we've been constantly changing. So hopefully the manager and the decision makers are on the task of obviously making Arsenal more unpredictable and ultimately making us better as a football club. Nonetheless, people, as I said, big up yourselves. The show must continue. And yeah, people, let's see what rumours the journalists and whatnot have for us today. As I always say, 99.9% of them are BS, and we can probably count, you know, the players that are linked with our football club. If it's not Onana, then it's Gyökeres. If it's not Gyökeres, it's Osimhen. Then it's Pedro Neto. Then it's Xavi Simons every now and again. You know, and there's probably a bunch of names I've missed out, people. Nonetheless, let me share my screen with you lot, and let's see exactly what they have to talk about today. Now, Pedro Neto is a player that I give credibility to. Some rumours we've taken a pinch of salt because we have bidded for him before. You know, there's been a long-lasting interest. There is, you know, obviously a need for someone like him. Could you imagine him and Bukayo Saka fighting for the right wing position, or him on the left-hand side, in which he's shown he can even play as a false nine? He's the perfect player, in my opinion, for Arsenal. He's someone I've been watching since his days at Braga, as you can see with the old videos or older videos on my YouTube channel. The only thing you could say over Pedro Neto is two things: injury concerns plus the Arsenal tax. He, you know, we might not see him, but he might become good friends with Tomiyasu, Partey, and Kieran Tierney in the medical room. I know they don't deserve that, but if it's just on ability, get it done for me. We've been linked with him before. You know, for me, if the David Ornsteins and Fabrizio Romanos are quite silent on something, I'd take it with a pinch of salt, just because I think in a day and age where, you know, obviously we're in a period where there's plenty of talking points with the Euros, but, you know, there isn't too much beyond that to really speak about. So journalists are going to be creative. They just want to get clicks, etc., etc. The game is the game in that regards, people. And I don't fault them for such, if I'm completely honest. But what I mean, oh, sorry, let me actually my mic as well. Sorry, we're gonna have to keep going, people. The right mic wasn't on, so apologies if I wasn't sounding as crisp and as sexy as I normally do. But yeah, for me, people, you know, in a day and age where everybody wants to be first, everyone wants to be right, everyone wants to have all the news and all of that jazz, at least with Ornstein, he waits until there's some sort of facts. But where Pedro Neto's concerned, I'd love him at the carpet. Arsenal could choose to revive their interest in Pedro Neto. Give Me Sports sources have revealed there's a belief among Wolves insiders that a deal could be struck in the coming weeks, with Neto pinpointed as their expected big money departure of the summer. You know, you look at him, you look at Nouri and people of that ilk, you know, they have been linked with moves away from Wolves. Previously, Liverpool and Manchester City have also been credited allegedly with interest in him. Now, deal could be struck, but what is the asking price? As you know, the Premier League, you know, we overpay when we try and buy players from foreign leagues, and in and amongst the Premier League, you have to pay a premium, whether these signings work out or not. You know, 80 million for Harry Maguire from Manchester United, 50 million for Benjamin White off the back of one Premier League season, which 50 million well spent. Declan Rice, I'm sure we didn't want to spend 100-odd million, but that was the going rate. That's worked out really and truly. Kai Havertz, 65-odd million quid, and there's probably plenty of other examples. So I'd love Pedro Neto. Let me know your thoughts, people. Would you sign him? And you'd imagine he's, I don't know where attainable goes, but it seems like there's always this general consensus that he will move to a different club one day. One player who we might not be able to sell now because of an injury, Kieran Tierney. If you was watching the Scotland game yesterday in the Euros, you would have seen he was been stretched off. There are some rumours around this, his hamstring and other things, people. We hope it's nothing too serious. Unfortunately, when you think of Kieran Tierney, his name is synonymous with injuries. He's probably, you know, if injuries is in the dictionary, Kieran Tierney's picture is probably there, unfortunately, to the Flying Scotsman, which obviously could have ramifications as to whether we're able to sell him. I think it's clear that, you know, his days at the Emirates are numbered. He's kind of reflected that in interviews, and it appears that if Arsenal is still trying to buy a left back, Kirill is, for whatever reason, is ahead of him, really, or an option ahead of him because he's in the side. Timber and Tomiyasu is bad news for him. And obviously, you've got Zinchenko. So, you know, for someone who was earmarked by Arteta to be our captain one day, someone who is contracted until 2026, someone who could be an option on the bench for us, it's bad news for him. And that is a player that we might struggle to move on. But we hope it's you know, we prepare for the worst where injuries are concerned. We hope for the best. So hopefully, Kieran Tierney injury isn't serious and he's able to play some part of what Scotland have left of the Euro campaign, which apparently won't be their must-win against Hungary on Sunday, for what it's worth. Moving away from that, I knew it was a matter of time before we was linked with Conor Gallagher. Apparently, he's of interest to both Arsenal and Manchester United. Now, I know many people won't want to hear this, but I'm not against Conor Gallagher in the squad. I am against it if, you know, that is the look. I mean, you know, Arteta has shown me to stick with him in certain difficult decisions. So a bit like when we signed Kai Havertz, you know, I didn't think Kai Havertz is a bad player. Neither do I think Gallagher is. But it's more of, okay, I'm going to put my trust in the madman Mikel Arteta because I can't really see it. I'm going to probably upset a lot of you and you probably cut off now. But this is why football, you know, is a great game and we encourage debate. I'm not against Conor Gallagher. If that's the guy that we're looking at to partner Declan Rice and could complete that trio of Odegaard, Rice and him, then I'm not for it. But the option of Conor Gallagher in the squad, you know, to deputise for Declan Rice, to come on in games, I'm not necessarily against that. Of course, him being English and homegrown has some sort of, you know, positivity around it. And I don't think he's a bad player. He's not a glamorous player, you know, he's a piano pusher in his side versus a piano player. People don't pay to watch Conor Gallagher, but I like him, people. Now, again, Arsenal and Manchester United, you can make a case of we need midfield enforcement. Obviously, both clubs last summer signed Mount and Kai Havertz respectively. So that could be where it lies. And Conor Gallagher, where Chelsea's concerned, seems to be one of the players forever linked with a move away. We don't know what their new manager has planned, in which that's why you can't really add fuel to this. I'm sure this guy, their new manager, has indirectly made his decisions up about the bulk of his squad, who can stay, who can go, who's available for the right price. But Conor Gallagher is away at the Euros. You'd imagine for Conor, he at least wants to see if he can convince this gaffer. And you'd imagine where the gaffer's concerned, he at least wants to see him in training. You do hear talking points around Gallagher that he wants to fight for his Chelsea spot, that he feels a good Euros can basically remind people what he's on. So I don't really give credibility to these rumours, people. But allegedly, Arsenal and Man United have been linked. Apparently, Atletico placed a bid which was swiftly turned down. And Aston Villa, who are in the Champions League, would be a good move for him, especially not quite Douglas Luiz replacement, but there's a midfield job that's going at Aston Villa, and he's also been linked with Spurs, which out of the names I said, you know, no matter where Chelsea are at, you know, Spurs is always a step down, if I'm honest. So I don't really buy those rumours, really and truly, if I'm completely honest, especially if they want 42 million odd quid. Now, he's in his mid-20s. He is experienced. He has been in the Premier League for a while. You know, he was one of the first names on the team sheet where Chelsea were concerned. And as a non-Chelsea fan, if I'm brutally honest, I think it's more down to the mess Chelsea find themselves in. But, you know, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher in midfield, there were several times I was doing watch-alongs to you lot, and Conor Gallagher was the standout man per se, really. So I'm not for it if it's the game-changing midfield we seek. But if it's someone that could come into the squad and, you know, you have a Declan Rice, another 8, Conor Gallagher, and the options we have, I can move with that, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't be up in arms, really. Now, I'm pessimistic on the Conor Gallagher stuff. So you could see where I'm going with Bruno Gomares. Would love Bruno Gomares at the carpet. Him and Declan Rice right up my street, especially if we're trying to become a side that can dominate the league and win a Prem. I don't buy these rumours because, again, if it's not Onana, then it's Gomares, then it's Zubimendi every week. You know, for me, it comes down to the price where Gomares is concerned, and I can't see Arsenal paying the premium that they want. Apparently, he's returned to being a leading target. There's even rumours that you know, players could be offered in a swap deal. Who those players are, I'm not too sure. You know, you could probably imagine Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Smith Rowe, the player Kieran Tierney if he was fit, potentially Aaron Ramsdale. These are the players that could potentially be linked with such. Zinchenko was linked with Newcastle one upon a time, as was Thomas Partey, but I don't buy that. And if you're if you're Eddie Howe in Newcastle, I don't imagine. I would imagine there might be some players of interest to you, and there is a world where a swap deal or, you know, a couple players plus, cash could happen. But I would just want an asking price. And, you know, I want my 100-odd million quid, essentially, really and truly, or something sky high for Bruno Guimaraes. And where Guimaraes is concerned, hindsight, apologies, is 2020, and everybody's a genius in hindsight. But every now and again, you know, whether it's Isaac at Sociedad, whether it was Guimaraes when he was at Lyon, it just feels like there's some players that you can see their quality, you can see what they bring to the table. Kudus, where Ajax is concerned, and you're just kind of begging your club to sign them, or they end up where they're all at, where all them names are that I just said at now. And you either pay the going rate or you forget about it, people. So let me know your thoughts where that's concerned. Jeremy Frimpong's a player consistently linked with Arsenal. I like him in the final middle third. Not really convinced by him defensively, but you never know, really and truly. Romano has said on the player who's been linked with Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, and a bunch of other clubs, who has a release clause of 40-odd million, that no decision will be made on him before after the Euros, people, which is the case for half of the team, essentially, people. We've seen Jeremy Frimpong linked with Arsenal in recent times, but also more recently with Liverpool. Still, I have no update on Frimpong now because he will not decide anything on his future during the Euros. This is the current plan. The release clause is there and valid, but Frimpong wants to focus on the Euros now, so the situation is currently quiet. He's actually also been linked with a return back to Manchester City, people. Now, again, Josh Rezerski is another one that's always linked with us. 1 minute he's, you know, just lacking a pen, really and truly, to sign for AC Milan. This has said Manchester United are back on the agenda, and obviously Arsenal apparently are waiting in the wings and watching development on such. We've also been linked with launching an opening bid for Osimhen. It's described as a low ball offer, really. I don't think we get Osimhen, but he's someone that's consistently linked with us, people. Apparently, we're not willing to meet the Gyökeres release clause, despite our long desire to bring in a striker, which is something we've heard before. We're not keen on spending 86 million quid on the Sporting Lisbon striker. Arda Güler is predictable, really, because of, you know, our dealings with Madrid, where we got Ceballos and a couple of loans, got Odegaard. You know, Arda Güler scored a lovely goal against Georgia for Turkey. He's somewhat the poster boy for Turkish football of the future. The man's at Real Madrid. You can't rule out him getting an opportunity, but for his quality, you know, it speaks volumes of the quality that Real Madrid have, in that he struggled for first team football last season with injuries, and you'd imagine he might struggle again this year, really, even though I think he's a quality player. Now, he's been linked with Arsenal. Now, if you're Real Madrid, would you want to sell him already? Probably not, when he's 19 years of age and barely had an opportunity. You know, it was predictable that he'd be linked with Arsenal. If there's a deal to be done for the 19-year-old, get it done, if I'm honest with you, but I can't see it happening. You know, he can play as a 10, can play off the right. You know, he's got fantastic passing and dribbling qualities, capable of moments of madness like you saw with his screamer. You know, and with that, you know, delivering the goods for your country. I can't draw too many conclusions on one game, but that tells you his mentality is A1, really. I would imagine Real Madrid loan him out where he can get first team football and review the situation. If anything, you know, even though I think he can have a future at Madrid, if anything, you would imagine it would closely mimic Martin Odegaard, where a couple of loans, who knows what's going on there, really. But there's great options, and we were linked with him when he was at Fenerbahce. It's predictable that he was going to get linked with Arsenal going into this summer, because of the lack of football he's got at Real Madrid, and obviously what we're doing with quote unquote young players, and definitely after he scored that screamer. Allegedly, Liverpool and Arsenal, as well as Dortmund, are tracking people. Apparently, some believe Güler's future at Real Madrid is in doubt due to his lack of regular minutes under Carlo Ancelotti, which I understand that, but at the same time, you know, you look at what Real Madrid are about as a football club, what they've won last season. You know, Carlo Ancelotti's paid to win football games. He's not paid to just develop youth. So if he feels there's stronger options, you know, which isn't exactly fair to Güler, that's what needs to be done. And where you look around and you've got Modric, Toni Kroos, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Bellingham, Valverde, you know, and again, he's a versatile player that can play in a couple of roles. He could actually play inverted off that right. Then you'll start talking about players who aren't necessarily stationed there, but, you know, you've got the Mbappes now, the Viniciuses, the Rodrigos, even people like Diaz, who's probably ahead of him slightly in the pecking order where the subs are concerned. It's Real Madrid, you know, you're at the pinnacle of world football. So, yeah, did he make the move to Madrid too early? You could say yes, but you could also say no, because you look at Endrick and a number of recruits that Real Madrid have bought. you know, this is the modern day now. You play well as a little 17, 18-year-old, and big clubs are circling for you. So I think Galera would be amazing under Mikel Arteta for what it's worth, but it just seems like creative journalism. We've gone over Frimpong already. And obviously, again, going back to the Zertsky stuff, people, we all know the backdrop. Allegedly, Kaya Jarutkin is holding up any potential move to anywhere because of his commission. He's seeking 15 million euros, in which United, out of AC Milan, Arsenal, and Man United, are probably the more likely to go and do that, essentially, people. This rumour's also said that, you know, he's got a brother, and his brother could be signed by AC Milan as kind of a sweetener to the deal. So, you know, where Gomares, Zertsky, Arda Güler, Pedro Neto, you know, Osimhen, Gyökeres, and anyone else we've discussed are concerned, that's all there is at the time of making this video. As you know, if there's any other emerging news and rumours, I'll get vids out for you lot. But for now, people, let me know your thoughts on everything, especially Pedro Neto. Do you think he'd actually be a good player for us? So, yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. On that note, you lot stay safe, stay blessed. Check out the rest of the videos. But for now, we'll link up again soon. Peace.